American Sports presents live for the final stop on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Today it's the Firestone Tournament of Champions, an event dominated in the past by some of bowling's greatest, like Billy Hardwick, who won in 1965. Future Hall of Famer won his first of 2 Firestone titles in 1968. His name, Dave Davis. The legendary Earl Anthony made his presence felt here with wins in 1974 and 1978. In addition to great bowlers, the Firestone also provided some memorable moments. Who can ever forget Jack Biondolillo's 300 game in 1967? 3 years later, Don Johnson also had a chance of perfection, but a stubborn 10-pin stopped him. Speaking of perfection, Mike Durbin has a phenomenal record in this event. He's the only 3-time winner. Today, 5 other players will attempt their own assault in the record books in bowling's most prestigious event. Live action on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's standing room only here at the Riviera Lanes in Fairlawn, a suburb of Akron, Ohio. Starting on Wednesday, 52 winners competed, and after 48 games now, the field is cut down to 5. None of the 5 has won a Firestone championship. 21 titles among them, and we're ready with that first match. The cover boy, Brian Voss, on the left from Tacoma, Washington, going against the Texan, one of 2 in the field, Gary Dickinson. Dickinson, a real veteran when it comes to Firestone. He was 2nd in 1980, 3rd in 81, 6th in both 76 and 77. And Nelson Burton Jr., you would think that experience would help him under this pressure.
A little bit, Chris. It's a whole new ball game, the championship round, as Dickinson's waiting for a re-rack. We already have a little problem here right at the start. He wants an extra rack. But I'd say in this match, there's one thing to watch for. Dickinson was the lower of the 2 finishers, so Voss decided to make Dickinson finish last. That means Dickinson will start on the left, and then Voss will finish on the left first. So it's much more difficult for Dickinson to throw a strike.
Back to the old days of a runner. Not telephone lines, not radio equipment, but Harry Golden had trouble getting word back to the maintenance man. So the runner is back in effect. Other people in the field here, the other 3, and they are something. Last week's winner, Mark Williams, another Texan from Beaumont, will try to make it 2 in a row. And finishing second, the ever-exciting Pete Weber from St. Louis, and the tournament leader is this cranker named Bob Hanley. Here's the first shot. And we have a little 2-8, a sleeper 8, though on the left lane of this championship pair, a tough pair.
27-28, Chris, a very tough pair. It has quite a lot of history to it. We've had the first 300 game ever rolled on the ABC championship round by Jack Biondolillo in 1967. But that was almost 20 years ago on a lacquer surface. Today we have a urethane surface, which is much tougher to throw strikes on and make spares.
And there you have it. Coming up and just missing the 2-8, the man that finished 5th. Open frame.
And what we said about the urethane finishing, overreacting on the ball. Dickinson tried to go straight at the 2-8, didn't even come close. You can't really fault him that much on a shot like that. Here.
And professional bowling's answer to Cheryl Teague's, in my book, Brian Voss. Nelson Burton Jr. has been in all 21 Firestones, and this year he finished 17th. Nice going, Bo.
Good week, Chris. We've had a tremendous field, 48 players, and we have a tremendous finals field. And as we watch Voss come up for his second frame to take an early lead, we see that the players in the field, we have 4 crankers and Gary Dickinson, the conventional style player.
Oh, a high hit, and he was lucky, leaving only the 6th pin. His mother and grandmother are here, this 26-year-old, as we replay the shot.
27, Voss starts the ball up high and breaks up the split. It could have been the 3-6-7. Gets away with an easy spare, the 6 pin. If he converts here, he'll have a 12-pin lead. There's his mother and grandmother. I saw Gary picking them up at the Cleveland airport earlier in the week.
Nicely done. 5'10", 160 pounds. He has so many fans, all ages, especially the young ladies. Well, here's Gary Dickinson. He's the father of 4. Burleson, Texan. Leaving the 6-10. Gary, as you saw, we hope you saw, and unfortunately for him, opened in the first, and now here he is in the second frame, first match.
The advantage on this type of lane condition, Chris, is Dickinson quickly is up with a second ball to shoot the 6-10 spare, is that the bowlers that hook the ball out like the lane's hooking. Dickinson with that 2-fingered shot on the spare.
All right, the 6'4" Gary Dickinson. Here's a profile replay of him.
Dickinson, an ideal style. He opens that right shoulder at the height of his backswing. His swing is just about parallel with the approach. Watch this pivot step as he drives on through and makes a real good shot. See that deep inside trajectory for the 6-10 conversion.
That's what he was looking for. Got at his share during the week, but it's his very, very first. And a big step toward the Kentucky Derby. The man is putting on a show. Strike a spare, now strike in the third.
Voss, much shorter than Gary Dickinson, has a really nice style. Notice how he doesn't open his shoulder quite as much. He has the same high backswing or shoulder level backswing, and watch how he drives through with that foot. He's playing that deep inside line, as you can see his sliding foot almost in the left channel. He looks very sharp out there, very confident, Chris.
The All-Army champion for 2 years. 4-9. We have seen that one converted this year.
4-9. Voss is going to cut right through the middle of the pins, and watch the action of the 2-pin. It goes to the sideboard, and all he has to do is try to get the ball over in this area, slide the 4-pin over into the 9. He must go for it in this situation. If he doesn't convert it, he'll either trail by 2 or it'll be all even.
He wanted that one badly. So, in this very close match between Brian Voss and Gary Dickinson, we're going to take a break or a commercial message. Then we'll be back. Gary Dickinson of Burleson, Texas, in our first match leads by 2. Now shooting in the 4th frame, his opponent is Brian Voss.
Dickinson, the fingertip grip, has only been around the pocket once. That was in the 3rd frame.
Crossing over and leaving the 10-pin, our 16th and final stop on the 1985 Professional Bowlers Tour telecast here on ABC, and it ends our 24th year in both silver anniversary next year.
Coming up, number 25, as Dickinson in cross lane for the 10-pin, convert this to maintain a 2-pin lead, using that 2-fingered grip to kill the ball, to cut down the roll. Accuracy, premier thing in spare shooting.
We said we had 2 Texans in the field, and when you hear the answer to the question we asked Gary earlier, you'll see why. We asked him why he was able to make the final 5 today. Listen.
Well, I think there's a couple or 3 reasons, really, and I think the main reason is that I just really threw the ball well all week. I made good shots, and I was able to hang in all week. And the second reason is that I've been coming here for 13 years, and I know the lanes, and I can make adjustments on some of the lanes where some of the other players can't. And the third reason is that it's a limited field, and there's just not as many crankers here to beat me.
And another 10-pin, a man that averaged 224.5 on this pair, 2 games throughout the Firestone.
Well, Chris, a couple of good points that Gary had in his interview is there aren't as many crankers. This is a limited field of 52 players, so some of the top players that we've seen during the year, such as Jeff Bellinger, Mark Baker, Steve Wunderlich, as you see the 2-fingered grip to kill the roll and keep the ball under control of Gary Dickinson, are not here. Baker and those players not here, so it gives more room for a down and in player.
All right, a spare, tremendous amount of money at stake in this final stop. Look at that. To the winner, $40,000, $22,000 for the runner-up, $15,000 for third, $10,000 for fourth, and the loser of this first match you're watching now will take home a check for $7,000. Brian Voss, he was 10th here in the Firestone last year. A 5th frame strike. As the man that will meet the winner continues to warm up off to our right, you hear his pins dropping now. That is Mark Williams of Beaumont, Texas.
Voss with really the correct way to attack this pair of lanes. He's keeping the speed real firm between the second and third arrows, the track area. Keep that speed up when the lanes hook as much as they are right now. It's very important to keep the extension, the good follow through, and the big speed. He needs this strike to take the lead.
And down at the line on that knee, hoping and praying for the double.
Contemporary player Brian Voss. You see the steady head of eyes on his target. Now watch his arm swing inside out. Now watch that wrist rotate around the ball, that counterclockwise wrist action that gives the big hook, the sharp snap, and just an excellent shot.
Dickinson with only one strike, now shooting in the 6th frame. That one way outside, leaving the 1-2.
Dickinson, in the hour of practice we had before we went on the air, as we watched his ball just sail wide for the 1-2. He tried to make the adjustment. Remember, when he came up there in the 4th frame, he crossed over on the left side of the head pin, makes the adjustment. He's on the right side of the head pin. What he has to do, Chris, is move out around the second arrow and throw the ball real hard and hope to bail this game out.
All right. No bowler from the number 5 position, which Dickinson is in, has ever won the Firestone Tournament of Champions. Whereas Voss, who is finished 4th, the last 2 winners have come from the number 4 position, Berardi, and our statistician today, 3-time winner Mike Durbin.
Dickinson, the only man of the 5-man field to win a major title. He has won the U.S. Open. He won that in 1983.
All right. Much sought after strike. We're running behind our allotted time schedule. We're going to leave live action, but believe me, I'll bring you up to date the minute we return. Gary Dickinson of Texas, who is trailing with a strike up in the 7th, shooting in the 8th frame. While we were away, Voss added to his string of strikes. He struck in the 7th and 8th. Well, here we now have a 4, 6, 7.
Dickinson in a critical shot early in the match, 7th frame. He comes up. He needs this strike to stay pace with Voss to even stay in the match. Cuts right through the middle. He's had a lot of trouble with the right-hand lane. Leaves the 4, 6, 7. The only thing he can do is throw real hard at it and try to bounce one of them out of the pit. He's going for the 4-7.
All right. From Burleson, Texas, he and his wife, Helene, have an interesting hobby, that of raising quarter horses. And the proudest arrival is the little filly, the foal, on the left. Unnamed, but the mom, the mare, her name is Lady. He's carrying that photograph, Bo, as a good luck charm.
He better start rubbing on the good luck charm and put some horseshoes on that colt right now, because 43 pins, he's been struggling all the way through, and Voss is red hot.
So he finally gets it, but his opponent has 4 in a row, Brian Voss.
Chris, the championship pair here is basically 10 feet of oil or conditioner applied by the PBA down to around this area. Then it's carried down or dragged down to the 30-foot mark on the lane, and then the last 30 feet are all dry, and that's what gives the player the biggest problem, that 30 feet of dry area down the backside lane. Voss is playing somewhere between the 2nd, 3rd arrows with a real hard speed. What Dickinson is doing is playing around the 3rd arrow, trying to go straight. By far, the way Voss is playing the lanes is the better of the 2.
And the string of 4 has ended with an awful-looking situation. 60 feet away, the 4, 6, 7, 9.
We said the last 30 feet are dry, and you see it. The ball looks like it's in good shape, where it's going to end up in the pocket for Voss, and cuts right through the middle. He looks at the telescore to see if he should go for this, try to get 9 out, or just shoot for the 8. He's going for the 8-pin count to maintain his lead.
All right, this is a tough championship pair, and perhaps it should be, because this is the prestigious Firestone Tournament of Champions, last of the Triple Crown. Mike Albee winning the PBA National, and Marshall Holman winning the United States Open.
For Voss, that open frame in the 9th frame gave him the possibility of losing this match. He must mark here in the 10th and get a 6-pin count to shut out Gary Dickinson. A mark and 6.
All right, so the mark will come if he knocks down the 7-pin on the left lane.
The thing to watch for is, remember Dickinson in the first frame going for the 2-8 spare over on the left part of the lane 27. He hooked right by it. If Voss goes straight at the 7-pin, it may hook in the left channel and give Dickinson a chance to win the match.
Elbow, he has the mark. And Gary Dickinson knows his situation along with you, and the look on his face tells the story. Not a lot of hope.
What do you do when you need 6 pins? You line up right a little bit high in the pocket, throw it a little extra speed, and just, there he goes. Good shot right there.
The winner of the first match, Brian Voss. He will meet Mark Williams, another Texan, when we come back. That's the matchup. Head-to-head they'll go as we're live in Akron. A live shot here at Riviera Lanes. Mark Williams, who finished third, will now meet Brian Voss, who defeated Gary Dickinson 198 to 173. Voss, with the 198, had 7 strikes. Left lane, first shot. Oh, got away with it. One of the better high-hit strikes, Bo.
Right, Chris. Watch the action of the 2-pin, the 2nd pin on the left-hand part of your screen. It goes to the sideboard. It takes out the 4-7. And look at the action of the 6-pin taking out the 10. A good break for Voss to start the match. What a difference it makes when you're loosened up and you've already had 1 win under your belt.
And there's the man that won the Pat Boone Open in Windsor Locks, Connecticut last week. And he has been tough all week here, finishing third. As you see, our head-to-head step-ladder approach. Pete Weber, that's right, Dick Weber's son, a really exciting bowler, 22 years old. And then one of my favorite bowlers, Bob Handley. Hookin' Bob Handley is the tournament leader.
Those are the type of players that really have the right shot for the championship pair. A lot of power, a lot of speed. So a lot of good action still coming. Williams for a double.
And after a 198 to 173, the bowlers are perfect. Voss with 1, and his opponent, Mark Williams, Beaumont, Texas, with a double. Voss back up. He was born in Portland, Maine, went to high school in Bismarck, North Dakota, but lived a long time. His dad was in the Air Force, so he was all over the world. He himself was in the Army for 4 years. Grandma on the left and Mom on the right.
Brian learned to do most of his good bowling in Anchorage, Alaska, where his father owned a 12-lane bowling center besides being in the service, and right now lives in Tacoma, Washington, one of the great young stars coming up on the tour. Voss, who won that first match. Earlier we talked to him about why he's making a promotional visit next week to the WIBC tournament in Toledo.
Well, the city of Bismarck, North Dakota, where I graduated high school, is attempting to host the '88 Women's Nationals. And they wanted to use myself to do a little bit of promoting for them. There's approximately 40,000 women in this tournament, and my hand will be a little sore from autographing next week.
And the cover boy has left a 10-pin on the left lane, Brian Voss. Oh, look out, Toledo ladies. Here comes Brian Voss. Okay, tomorrow on ABC Live at 2:30 Eastern, the Tampa Bay Bandits versus the Birmingham Stallions, Bo.
A classic matchup, the Tampa Bay Bandits, the #1 offense in the USFL going against the #1 defense, the Birmingham Stallions, Chris. And, you know, when they have a big game like that, #1 offense against #1 defense, I'm a defense type guy, only in football. But in bowling, I go for offense.
Okay, and Legion Field is a perfect meeting ground. We've done so many Alabama games there, and I'll tell you, when the fans come out and fill Legion Field, it's hard to hear yourself talk. So that's tomorrow on ABC. Keith Jackson, Lynn Swan will be there, and Tim Brandt. All right, Mark Williams at Beaumont, Texas, leaving the 3-6 on the right lane.
The right-hand lane is the lane that has given everybody a lot of problems. You watch the ball of Mark Williams. As he comes down, he looks like he's going in the pocket, then it breaks very sharply over into the head pin area. That is the trouble Dickinson had on this lane, and that's the trouble that Mark Williams has had so far. And every year we see, and every week we see a lane that is the key to winning, and so far it has been lane 28. Dickinson never came close to a strike as Voss easily defeated him. Voss seems to have a pretty good line on both lanes with that fast speed and the trajectory between the second and third arrows. Williams, the soft speed. He can probably get away with it on the left-hand lane, but he has to make a change on the right.
The man is making his 4th appearance on our weekly telecast here on ABC, Mark Williams, and it's a very close match, as you see. We'll be back after this. 5 and a top prize of $25,000 beckoned the winner of the Firestone. A tall, lanky left-hander from Atlanta, Dave Davis, won to become only one of 2 bowlers to win the event more than once. You know, seeing curly-haired Rick Mears on that last commercial, right here on ABC, another edition of the Indianapolis 500 near the end of May. Here's another curly-haired fellow, Brian Voss, and I was just reminded that a curly-haired fellow won last year. Today's our statistician, Mike Durbin. Well, a 10-pin. Hard to believe after such a beautifully delivered stroke and shot. But here is the replay of it. Going down, and there's that 1-3 pocket, and you just wonder why the 10 didn't go as well. Cross lane now. You'll have to be careful. Very well done. All right.
Hey,
Brian Voss, this capacity crowd here. It's a much sought after ticket, I can't tell you. Because it's this time of the year when you find you have a lot of friends that want to come to the event.
You're right. If Voss has been around the pocket, match, it's all even. The key is for Voss to stay in the pocket and see if Williams can conquer the right lane.
So now he'll have to try to cover a 4-pin on the left lane. Real competitor. Talks to himself. Gets his fist working for him. Great comer. Highest finish this year was 3rd in the Light Classic, 3rd to Pete Weber. So now Mark Williams, who carefully looks at the pins to make certain that they're where he wants them on the spots. With a strike up, he'll be shooting in the 5th. And talk about jewelry on the bowling hand.
Mark Williams with his rings, he has 2 different kinds of 300 rings there. The PBA's 300 and the American Bowling Congress 300 ring. And let's see what kind of adjustment he makes on the right-hand lane. Let's see if he can send it wide enough.
Beautiful. Mark Williams, who won the Pat Boone Open last week in Windsor. Last summer, his first win was in the Waukegan Open. Went through 3 opponents, including Mike Edwards, to win. And then number 2 came last week. Total of 21 titles in this field today.
Gary.
Wearing the wireless RF microphone to get his reaction.
For Mark Williams, you watch the release as he comes through. He has not the snapping action that some of the crankers have. He has a nice, smooth return of the fingers around the ball as he shoots the spin.
With his bowling ball, he has won $55,640 this year. And Carol is happy about that, the little nurse from Beaumont.
Brian Voss, 6th frame, trails by 10 pins, has a spare up.
All right. The man who won the first game here today in the finals of the Firestone Tournament of Champions, Brian Voss, shot a 198. Gary Dickinson, a 173. $7,000 for Gary, but Voss and Williams and Pete Weber and Bob Hanley still are alive at the $40,000 first prize right here this afternoon. Live coverage from Riviera Lanes.
Voss a strike to even the match.
Left to 6 pin.
The championship pair, Chris, as we said, the left-hand lane is the one that holds, but it doesn't hold as well as he wants it. The player wants the ball to set right in here, but what happens with that sharp turn he has on the ball, it breaks over to the left side of the head pin, avoids the split, and leaves just a single.
Okay, with that spare, Voss and Williams. Voss trailing by 10, leaving live action now as we're running behind, was trailing by 10. But while we were gone, Mark Williams of Beaumont, Texas, came up with a double in the 7th and 8th frames. Now with a spare up shooting in the 8th, Brian Voss. A high hit in the 6-10. Things looking bleak for the man that won the first game over Gary Dickinson, 198 to 173.
Voss in the last 2 frames, really only the only 2 bad shots he's thrown in the match. He went high in the 7th frame, higher again in the 8th frame. Mark Williams, who's red hot going for 2 in a row, in the driver's seat.
Been a grueling week, exhausting week though.
48 games, Chris. This is the only tournament that we have this format. The 52-man Elite Field of Champions bowls 16 games on Wednesday, 8 more games qualifying Thursday morning. The top 24 go at it. 8 games Thursday evening, 16 more games on Friday, down to the top 5. Now we're down to the top 4. And if Voss doesn't get striking pretty soon, he's going to be 4th place, $5,000 at stake.
All right, Brian Voss hanging in there. This is a long week starting on Monday with a lovely dinner honoring the newest inductees into the PBA Hall of Fame as a player. Larry Lobb, a great guy, 12 championships, and then Teddy Hoffman, Joe Joseph, meritorious, and veterans categories.
Mark Williams for a 32-pin lead.
Oh, no.
You heard him say, oh, no. But, oh, yes, the 2-8-10 are standing.
The 2-8-10. Watch the action of the ball as it comes in light, and the head pin goes by the 2-pin, takes out the 4-7, but it leaves the 2-8-10. A spare that is open for a lot of conjecture in the bowling world. The pros can switch to left-handed if they want to shoot it that way. Williams is going to try to slide it over.
All right. Brian Williams, the redhead from Beaumont, Texas, 28 years old.
And quickly, Chris, the reason I said the pros can switch to left-handed, in the Professional Bowlers Tour, you can bowl with either hand if it helps improve your chances of making a spare or a strike. In the amateur ranks, you must stay with the same hand in each league. Mark Williams only leads by 7 pins now, 10th frame.
And this is followed by a 3-10 on the left lane. Rolling along with that double and then disaster.
Williams' ball out here looks in good shape, but then goes right through the 1-2-3 zone and leaving the 3-pin and the 10-pin. He needs to get the ball between the 3-10, convert this split to maintain the lead. If he doesn't, Voss will be in the driver's seat.
Make it.
There you are. There is a tip for all of you, just how to convert that split.
Perfect shot. Gets the ball on the right side of the 3-pin, lets it deflect into the 10, and preserves his lead. He needs 4 pins on this ball to make Brian Voss double to win the game. Just stay behind the foul line for Williams. All right, he finishes with a 2-11. For Brian Voss, he has a strike up in the 9th. Voss needs to strike on the first ball in the 10th and then get a 7 spare fill. If he doesn't strike on the first ball, Williams is the winner.
This is our second match. Brian Voss winning the first, 198 to 173 with 7 strikes. Thus far, he's had 4 in this game. Tension relieved, not only by Brian, but his mother and grandmother, who are just behind him, and there you see That sad look on the face of his opponent, Mark Williams.
As he grabs a hold of the rosin bag, I have never seen Voss throw any better shot in a clutch situation, but he still has a little job in front of him. He must get at least 7 and a spare. If he gets 7 in an open, he could lose the match. 6, we could have a tie.
Uses most all of the approach. Right lane. Lofting that ball. Oh.
You saw him grab the rosin bag. It's very warm here in Akron today, about 85 degrees, and it's somewhat warm in here as you see him bounce the ball. It slides by the head pin, and the situation for Voss is this. He must convert this spare for a 1-pin victory. If he only gets 2 of the pins, we have a tie and a 2-frame roll-off. And Voss is going to back for the rosin again.
Okay. The murmurs through this capacity crowd now subsiding. Let's watch.
We have a tie.
Can you imagine?
2-frame roll-off, Chris, right now.
Yes. He's walking, well, he's not going to leave the bowling establishment, but he feels like it, I'm sure. Look at that.
He goes right on. You watch the 2-5, 2-4, chopped off the 5. Watch his eyes.
Someone said eyes that could penetrate steel, but the ball, new life for this man. 2-frame roll-off. Here it starts.
The 9th and 10th frames, they're starting from 0. As soon as we have a definitive winner, we'll go on to the next match. Williams with the first shot, left-hand lane.
Coming in now to sudden victory for one of the 2.
As Brian Voss is working with his thumb hole, trying to put some more tape in the ball. What happens is it's very warm in here. The pressure of a championship round makes those hands perspire. You need a good grip on the ball. And going back to the 2-8 spare of Mark Williams, remember what happened to Dickinson in the first frame of the championship game, the first match. He missed the ball on the left.
Oh, he got by with it. He's speechless now, wearing that wireless microphone. You can see it there.
Well, one of the things that makes the lane so tough, Chris, is the inability to consistently get strikes, but it's the inability of the players all year long to convert spares. They cannot judge where to shoot these spares, and that makes it very tough when you really struggle with the spares.
It's like our friend Chuck Pisano said, the only easy spare is the one you don't have to shoot because you got a strike.
Here's Voss, first shot in the roll-off.
Crowd tells you the story, and that's how he feels. 6, 7, 10.
Voss right into the nose, leaves the 6, 7, and 10. He has to take the 6-pin and slide it over into the 7-pin area to convert this split.
Odds are 5-1 for the professional.
Has to go for it.
All out. He really thought he had that one. Watch this reaction.
Disappointment. But it's not over. He's back in the same situation that he was in the original game. He needs a double to get back in the match. He's bowled very well on this left-hand lane. It's the lane that doesn't hook quite as much. Let's see what he does.
Doesn't matter as long as you get him. A Brooklyn strike for the man from Tacoma, Washington.
We watched Joe Berardi march to the title 2 years ago with a series of Brooklyns, and here Voss takes advantage of the first one we've had today. He needs this strike to put the pressure on Williams.
We're in a tiebreaker of the second match.
Trails by 11, could cut the lead to 1 pin.
Seven pin. Remember, the winner will meet colorful Pete Weber. Then the tournament leader, Bob Hanley, for the $40,000 first prize. This is the Firestone. All
right, for Voss, it's 29 for his extra frames. sets up for Mark Williams a situation where he has to get a strike or a spare in any kind of count to win the match and go against Pete Weber. If he fails to mark, Voss would go against Weber.
Well, the 3-pin is there, and he's got to knock it down.
That's it. Has to knock over the single pin spare. What a good break he got. He went high. He had the 3-10 baby split standing momentarily. The 6-pin knocked out the 10. The job for Mark Williams is knock over this pin, and he will go against Pete Weber.
There is, you saw the intensity on his face. Look at the furrows above his nose. This is pressure, and the Firestone needs 1 pin. All right, gets 9 in a roll-off against Brian Voss. Williams wins 38-29. They tied at 2-11. Weber next. Tournament of Champions was inaugurated in 1965. You're looking at the Riviera Lanes, which has been the permanent home since 1966 of this great championship and our 16th and final stop. Mark Williams came in as the number 3 qualifier, and after tying at 2-11, he defeated Brian Voss 38-29. Mark Williams, who won last week, now will meet a red-hot bowler, colorful 22-year-old from St. Louis, Pete Weber. The two bowlers continue to practice here, which is their right. And you know, our technicians, our production people, are more than just skilled people, talented people. All these years have become our close friends. We want to give them their due credit visually now. I could say something neat about each of them.
Today, Nelson Burton Jr. discusses the techniques for achieving the proper feel of your bowling ball on the Professional Bowler's Tip of the Week. Today's tip is being sponsored by Old Spice Aftershave and Cologne. Splash on the peeling, splash on the Old Spice.
Week after week on the Professional Bowlers Tour, we see the top players making adjustments to their thumb hole to keep that good, consistent, snug feel that gives them the confidence to throw great shots in the clutch. This week's bowling tip will show you how to get that good feel in your thumb hole. First, all thumb holes are drilled perfectly round, but our thumbs are not all perfectly round. So take a piece of crayon and rub it on your thumb. Then insert that thumb into the thumb hole and see where the crayon marks show up in the thumb hole. Then take a rat tail type file and work out where that crayon is placed inside the thumb hole. After you do a little bit, not too much, take some sandpaper and smooth that area out. Especially with these urethane balls, take a little extra time to get it nice and smooth. Then take the ball, put a little powder in the thumb hole. Make sure you don't get it on the approach. Then throw a few shots down the lane to see how consistent you release the ball. Finally, if the ball is coming off your thumb too quickly, take a piece of tape, insert it into the back of the thumb hole as we see the top pros do on the Professional Bowlers Tour, and see if that gives you the good feel you're looking for. And if all of that fails, take the ball back to the pro shop. Have your pro shop operator plug up the thumb hole, re-drill it, and start over.
To the Riviera Lanes, we've had a 2-frame roll-off, which was won by the man in the blue shirt without the stripes, Mark Williams, 38-29, eliminating Brian Voss. Brian will leave with a sizable check, however, of $10,000. Mark Williams opens against Pete Weber with a strike. Now, the splinter is up. Here he is, 22 years old, 5'7", 23rd, finishes in 82 and 83. And now he's in an event, a wonderful position to win something that his dad wasn't able to do, Dick Weber. Hit, leaving the 3-6-10.
Pete Weber, as you look at his dad, who led this tournament in 1965 and in 1966, he lost to Billy Hardwick in 1965, and he lost to Wayne Zahn in 1966. watching with his daughter-in-law, Dee Dee, hoping that Pete can get it together for the Weber family today.
And Pete marks to the spare. He has 6 titles. His dad has 27 PBA titles and a lot of other awards.
You see Pete with that high backswing where he gets all that momentum as he drives down through with that cranker-type shot that he has. Has a good pivot step and a great wrist action rotation. Look at the deep inside line he's playing, almost sliding in the left channel.
Now he has 2 wins already this year. The Showboat, the Invitational there, then the Light Classic in Miami. Pete Weber, the all-around sportsman, just brokenhearted that the Flyers didn't make it a little farther in the National Hockey League, but he is about crowd truth, etc. All right, 10-pen for Mark Williams. And Bo, our first match today, 198 to 173, 7 strikes, lost the winner. Then Mark eliminated him, a 2-11 tie, 38-29. Most unusual day.
Great championship record for Mark Williams, 11-3, and he was 17-17 in a 17-7 in the 24-man finals this week. A great record.
Percentage-wise, about as good as any, right?
Agreed. The heads-up matches are so important on a Pro Bowlers Tour, but even more important in a championship round. And Mark Williams has qualified third 4 times in a championship round and has bowled for the title every one of those times. So if history repeats itself, he will win this match.
Carey talking to the shot. Mark Williams, as his wife Carol, who is a nurse in Beaumont, Texas. I tell you, if you were ill and just looking at her would make you well.
Pete Weber, let's see how much the heat affects him with that high backswing. And remember that Pete occasionally drops the ball when he gets his hand too much perspiration. We saw him do it in Vegas. Saw him do it in Garden City a couple of years ago. Let's see if it bothers his game today.
Pete, after the fact, is complaining. Leaving the 6-10, was he upset with the way they were spotted, Bo?
Not really, Chris. He has a little aversion from a camera person down there who is just clicking the cameras just at the height of his backswing. And apparently with it being so quiet in the bowling center, it's affecting Peter's shot just as he lets go of the ball. Somebody's going down to rectify that situation as Peter needs this spare to stay even.
There's a great measure of concentration on a golf course and the proximity here of whether it be photographers or fans who inadvertently make a noise. It really gets to their thinking, their mental capacity. And after tough 48 games, that's probably the most taxed portion of the body, the mental stress. Fire up the 22-year-old, 6 years a pro, 6 titles, going against Mark Williams. We're going to have to leave live action running way behind our allotted time, but I'll bring you up to date after this. Up in the third, Mark Williams trying for this trophy and the $40,000 first prize has doubled. Strikes in the third and now in the fourth frame. Fourth frame just happening as he is going against Dick Weber's son, Pete. This is the semifinal match. The winner will go into the final where they will be rolling for $62,000. 40 to the winner, 22 to the runner-up.
Get up, get up. Yes.
Wireless microphone. It's amazing, Bo, how you pros talk to that ball.
I don't know if it helps, but Mark Williams is really looking sharp in the fourth frame on the right-hand lane, the lane that's given everybody trouble, including Pete Weber in his first attempt. Threw the ball much harder and straighter. Then he sent it really wide on the left-hand lane. He has a 20-pin lead over Pete in the early going.
Pete Weber leaving the 6-10, 1 of 8 to go over $100,000 last year. He lets his feelings be known, lets it all hang out. He has from day one, and the cameramen are still bothering Pete, and he should voice an opinion and an objection.
I don't think it's a movement, Chris. It's just the clicking noise. It's so quiet in here, you can really hear it. Weber for the spare.
But he cannot let it get to his concentration. That'd be the first thing I know his dad would tell him. There he is, 22 years old, and if he could go all the way today, he's third, third in the money list this year. He would be the money leader, $88,860.
Regardless of what happens today for Peter, he told me he and his wife Dee Dee are taking off for a 2-week vacation to Hawaii starting on Tuesday. Well deserved, as his daddy looks on a bit perturbed at the action.
All right. There, Dad's giving it the pep talk to his son, and Dee Dee, his wife, looking on. Tough moments for the Weber family and for the Williams family. Well, you must remember, Mark had to go through a 2-frame roll-off after a 2-11 tie against Brian Boss.
One of the real nice guys in the Pro Bowlers Tour has taken all 3 of his re-racks, and Mark Williams looking for a 4th re-rack. Remember, they're only allowed 3 in a game. He's actually told Harry Golden exactly what pins off spot, and to me it looks like the 3 pin's a bit tight. If you would look right in the area right here, the 3 pin is close to the head pin, so that the players need to get that pin right on spot to keep from leaving a solid 10. Harry didn't give him the re-rack. Let's see what happens.
Coming up high and leaving the 3-6 on the right lane. Our semi-final game, the winner to meet our tournament leader, Hook and Bob Hanley from Pompano Beach, Florida.
Well, we have Weber being bothered by the cameras on the right-hand lane. Mark Williams doesn't like the way the pins are set up.
Anything troubling you, Nelson?
Not really. I just like to see him get a few more strikes.
Yes, that would help us all. These are tough conditions. The best bowlers in the world, they walk under a sign here outside Riviera Lanes. The world's greatest bowlers pass through these portals, and they are that, but they have been tested this week.
Williams trying to be
third
only
match. Oh, excuse me.
Chris, that Williams trying to be only the 5th player in PBA history to win this tournament in his first attempt. Hardwick did it in 65, Stefanich 67, Berlin in 77, and Marshall Holman in 1976.
We again have to leave live action. We are in the semifinal match with Weber trailing by 18. He'll have a strike up. He'll be shooting in the 7th. I'll keep you up to date. The Firestone Tournament of Champions in the semifinal game. Pete Weber on the right lane. Left the 2-pin, marked with a spare, and then in the 8th frame, and very importantly, came up with a strike. Now, Williams shooting in the 8th with a strike working. Seven-pin.
Boy, he really wanted that one. That would have put Weber on the ropes. Mark Williams has made an adjustment on the right-hand lane. He's the only player to be close on this lane all day long, and what he has done, Chris, is he's using one brand new bowling ball that's never been rolled, and it's all shiny, so it doesn't hook very much on the right-hand lane. He's using the ball that he won the tournament last week in Hartford with on the left-hand lane.
Right, and his opponent, Pete Weber, at the advice of his dad yesterday, came up with a shiny bowling ball to work a little better on the conditions here. So the choice of bowling balls, Nelson, got to have the proper equipment, right?
Very important, Chris. Even more important for the pro bowlers who throw such big hooks. But it's like golf. You can't hit a wedge shot with a driver. So these players are adjusting their equipment.
Then there's the 2, 4, 8.
Mark Williams sends the ball real wide out to about the 7th board. Then it comes back, doesn't quite get all the way back. Watch the action of the head pin as it goes over to the left sideboard, takes out the 7-pin, and avoids the 2, 4, 8, 10. The 10-pin was standing momentarily, but by no means an easy spare.
Whoa. And as you heard him say, whoa.
That's what makes the lane so tough, Chris. We've seen players go to the left side and they hook by the 2-8. We saw Williams go to the right side and not get up to the 2-8. Now he goes straight at it and he misses them both. Opens the door for Weber.
And here is Pete Weber. Strike up in the 8th, shooting in the 9th, getting a re-rack on the right lane. This is a 40-lane bowling establishment, as I mentioned. been the home of the Firestone since 1966. One other year they were at another establishment, Bolero Lanes. So here we are as the Firestone is 21 years old today.
Gave it everything he had. The great shot right there where he could have taken the lead. Look at his eyes. Boy, he knows it's good. He's no watch. Oh, no, a solid 10. The match is not over, though. Watch the action of the pins. The 6-pin launches over the top of the 10-pin. Weber with a spare would trail by 4.
All right. And the Weber name, whether it be Dick or Pete, has been in all 21 Firestone Tournaments of Champions.
The scoreboard tells the story. Weber perfect on the left-hand lane, and he chose to finish there in the clutch situation. He's up there where he wants to be, not with the lead, but on the lane he wants to be on with a possibility of taking the lead. He needs 2 strikes to put the onus on Williams.
The bowler that loses this game will get $15,000, where the winner will have a chance at 40 in the next championship match. And again, on the left lane, we see a 4-9.
Weber thought he had it. We've seen the 4-9 popping up all year long. Remember down at the Quaker State, where we had a possibility of winning a tournament with the 4-9. The big difference, we've had that twice today. Weber has to try to make it. It's close.
And he does! He gave one quick look at his dad. Precision. 4-9 converted.
Perfect shot. Weber slides the 4 into the 9. This is what Mark Edwards couldn't do against Mike Durbin at the Quaker State. We saw Jim Miller do it at the King Louis. It has kept Weber's hopes alive. As Dick's explaining to Dee, Peter just needs a good break. He needs Williams to open. The count makes very little difference.
4-pin. And 22-year-old Pete Weber shot a 197 in the semifinal game.
Proud father saying, Peter, you gave it your best, but it's not over. Mark Williams must fill the 10th frame, strike or a spare.
Mark Williams of Beaumont, Texas, east of Houston, winner last week of the Pat Boone Open, needs 4 pins to go into the championship match against Bob Handley.
4 pins on 2 balls. An easy task for a pro. Just stay behind the foul line. That's it. It's going to be Williams and Handley for $40,000.
Okay, and for Pete Weber, it's $15,000 check. This is the Firestone Tournament of Champions. We'll return for live coverage of the championship match, Handley and Williams, after this.
Introducing your ultimate weapon against athlete's foot. New footwork.
The pain and itch of athlete's foot can drive you crazy. But now there's footwork.
Footwork works 2 ways. It cures the pain and itch of athlete's foot, then prevents its return.
Footwork, your ultimate weapon against athlete's foot.
Get new footwork now. Cures the pain and itch of athlete's foot, prevents its return.
Here at the Riviera Lanes, our tournament leader, Bob Handley of Pompano Beach, Florida, continues to practice because he is in the final match against Mark Williams, who has won 2 games, as you see. Once in a roll-off, winning at 38-29, 2 frames, and now with a 214, 8 strikes to Pete Weber's 197. So the man that won last week in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, Mark Williams, goes against Bob Handley, who hasn't won since 1983, but has been consistently tough. Speaking of tough, boxing is a sweet sign. Seated.
Mark Williams going for $40,000 and a 7-year exemption. If you win the PBA National Championship or the Firestone, you have 7 more years in this tournament.
And after 2 victories, he is met with a 4-7-10.
Just got a little soft on this shot, goes right into the nose, does not trip out the 4-7. See the 2-pin lay down the channel, leaves the 4-7 standing. A tough spare to start the match with. Has to slide the 4 into the 10. It's going to be close.
Hit it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. 2 conversions in about 10 minutes. A 4-9 by Pete Weber, whom Williams defeated. And now look at this.
What a shot. I think this is the toughest of all the pocket splits to convert the 4-7-10. Chris, if he had had the big 4, he'd have made it.
Right.
Even if the 6-pin had been in there. What a way to start.
And remember, for Williams, it's his first Firestone ever. Here is Bob Hanley, who was 5th in 1983. Stalker has his shot slide by, leaving the 2-5.
Bob Hanley, a history teacher who gave up school teaching and coaching junior football, and for a shot at the Pro Bowlers Tour, 32 years old, has been a wise decision. Hanley, one of the premier stars in professional bowling today, was the tournament pick by the consensus of the Akron Beacon Journal. Danny Tom, the writer, to lead this tournament, and the writers knew what they were talking about.
And there's that error that, well, we've had a few of those today, but throughout the year we've had some glaring errors.
The 2-5 combination, Chris, has been the toughest all year long. We see the bowler going by the 2-pin. If he goes at it, he hooks to the left of it. We saw Dickinson start off the day with an ominous 2-8 conversion. He missed both of them. Here, Hanley doesn't make it up to the 2-pin.
$18,000 difference, winning or losing.
We just want to be the best. Today, Canada's forests are threatened by disease, insects, fire. Their future depends on how we manage them today. Will the trees be there when we need them? Protection, replanting, more efficient use of our forests will assure their future. For information on our forests, contact Canadian Forestry Service, Ottawa, K1A OH3.
Every day brings a new challenge to the Salvation Army. And every single day, we count on you to help us meet it. Please, give to the Salvation Army Red Shield Appeal. Give us this day.
I'm Bruce Coburn. In 1945, Dr. Lotta Hitchmanova created a Canadian agency with a heart to help the world's underprivileged. Children like Tutuli in Bangladesh, who are homeless and depend on handouts to survive. Or little Nirmala in Nepal, who helps her parents break coal for cooking. These children need hope. The hope Canadian Friends are providing through USC. $50 loans help small producers earn extra income so their children can attend school. USC support provides irrigation so barren land becomes green. Friendship from Canada makes young hands productive. The USC believes their future depends on creating opportunities today. Help continue Dr. Lotta's dream through the USC, 56 Spark Street, Ottawa.
Enjoy the misadventures of Abbott and Costello weekday mornings at 9:30 here on your channel for Chuckles, TV9.
Carol Burnett and Friends, starring Carol Burnett, with Harvey Korman, Vicki Lawrence, Lyle Wagoner, and her guests, Jack Guilford and Ruth Buzzy.
Welcome to our show this evening. Yes.
How did your career start?
How did my career start? With a whimper. I would say actually my big break was when a gentleman named Gary Moore gave me a chance on his show. I consider that the first really big break I had. Yes.
Can I have your autograph?
Do you want my autograph? Okay, come on. I'm not allowed to do this, so don't tell anybody. What's your name?
My name's Beth.
Beth.
Did you get my postcard?
Oh, was that your postcard, Beth? Yeah. B-E-T-H.
Yeah, that one was for Craig, though.
Craig, C-R-A-I-G.
Firestone week coming to an end after this championship match, and there's still a big event happening here on these lanes tonight. Bo and a lot of our production people are going to bowl, along with other dignitaries, and our Vice President of Program Acquisitions, Bob Iger, is going to try his luck. Did you drill a ball for him, Bo?
All the players, all the ABC people have new balls. Let's see what they can do tonight on these lanes themselves.
No. Oh, what a break. The 6-pin dropping at the last moment, leaving only the 4-7.
He has the 4-6-7 standing, and watch the action of the second pin on the right-hand part of your screen. It's standing momentarily. Look at the 3-pin go to the sideboard. The 9-pin slides in behind and trips out the 6. What a terrific break on that shot for Mark Williams.
Mark Williams. There you see on the left the founder of the PBA, Eddie Elias, in the center, Bob Iger, who negotiated the most recent contract for another 4 years, and Joe Antonora, commissioner of the PBA.
Bob Hanley, must situation. Just put all the power and all the speed you got, Bob. Take a chance. There you go.
Fifth frame, finally the strike. The man that led 4 of the 6 tough rounds.
He picked up a brand new ball. He said he had trouble on this championship here. Now let's see what decision he makes on the left-hand lane. He picks up the new ball again that doesn't hook as much. Just get a whole new attitude for 5 frames. He's bowled 48.5 games leading this tournament. He's down to a very pivotal shot right here. A strike could put some pressure on Williams.
Left to 2-4-5. A man that's won 2 games coming into this match, Mark Williams, and the tournament leader. It's been a long time since the tournament leader has won here in Nelson.
Yes, it has. It has been at least 3 years that I can remember.
Steve Cook, I believe, was the last.
1981.
Former history teacher, graduate of Kansas State University, Bob Handley. And a man that was going to give up the tour, Mark Williams. A little perseverance and encouragement from his backers, and here he is, leading by 40.
And he's changed his arm swing. A nice straight swing. He used to have a big loop in his swing.
Yes, sir, yes.
10-pin.
One other note of Akron interest, Chris, while we were talking about the people that went into the Firestone, veteran Tommy Hudson, 10-time PBA champion, retired this week, announced his retirement, and bought a new bowling center here in Akron, North Plains in Akron. We wish Tommy and his wife, Barbara, the best. I'm sure they'll be out to a lot of tournaments to watch and cheer on their friends in future years.
And look at this. An open frame for the leader in this Firestone Championship match.
Here's the 2 styles of the 2 players bowling for the Firestone Tournament Champions. You have Mark Williams on the right with that low stalking action, shoulder high swing. Here's Hanley. Watch how Hanley cranks his wrist in that tremendous position straight underneath. Then the drive and lift through. Hanley lifts straight through. Williams turns around the ball.
Okay. There was a strike that pleased our producer, Magador, Ohio's own Peter Engelhardt. We've had few of them today. We're going to have to bowl through. We're running way behind, but I'll bring you up to date when we return. Have had a 24-year marriage. Our 16th and final stop on this year's tour, Firestone, and while we were away, sports fans, Bob Handley, the tournament leader in the 7th frame, 2-4-5-8, marked with a spare. He had it again on the left lane, marked with a spare. Can you believe it?
On time, yes!
Mark Williams leaving the 4-pin.
As unbelievable as it is, Mark Williams does not have this tournament won quite yet. Hanley still has a possibility of shooting 178. If Williams just gets one more open, he'll be down in the 170s. So it's not over yet. It's match game play. We know the players are struggling, but still $40,000 at stake.
Though, if there's one consolation on what's happened out here today with these tough conditions, is the fact that a lot of amateur league bowlers will think they're really terrific, right?
Well, we have 2,900 members in the PBA right now, and I'm sure we're going to get some applications for a bunch more on Monday. Hanley still keeping his thoughts together. Williams can't count his money yet. He must fill these frames to keep the pressure off of him in the 10. Got trouble right there.
10 went out at the last minute, so.
Well, where's this ball going? Let's watch. Just hooking wildly down there. He leaves a very unusual spare, the 3-9. No longer can much be said about it, Chris. Just basically almost impossible lane conditions. There's an interesting two-shot. One lady on the left, spot ready to receive $40,000, handed to her by a disconsolate fellow right there in front of her, Bob Hanley. But if Williams can't make the spare, it's not over.
So now, coming up in the 9th frame, with a spare working, trailing by 34, Bob Hanley, the tournament leader. 40,000 to the winner, 22 to the man who is on the short end of the score. Two, 4, 5.
Well,
it's plaguing poor Bob.
Hanley missed a 2-5 earlier in the match, but he's getting so much practice at it right now that he's got it down pat. He's converted the last 3 frames, the 2-5 combination, one more time.
Well, there's no outside help for these professionals. Despair for Bob, and things looking brighter for Mark and Bo. Two fellows, J.R. Hellman and Frank Burke, our personal assistants. They help us. If only the bowlers could get the help that we get from those two over the 16 weeks, they'd do well. All right. All right. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsor, then the final score.
The Professional Bowlers Tour.
Hey, Bob. Bob. Sorry.
The Firestone Tire and Rubber Company with a $40,000 check for Mark Williams. Mark, the happy winner of the Firestone Tournament of Champions, Chris.
All right. My condolences to Bob Hanley, a great champion. My congratulations to you, Mark, and to you, Carol.
Thank you.
2 weeks in a row. Jim Thomas is Executive Vice President of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company. 2 spoils of victory. Jim, quickly.
Mark, congratulations on a great win. From all the folks here at the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company, $40,000, left-handed. Chris, here's the mic.
And that silver trophy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our Firestone Tournament of Champions winner is Mark Williams. Stay tuned for ABC's Wide World of Sports. Olympic boxing gold medalist and the Florida Derby winner, Proud Tooth, and the Wood Memorial live, both events. Travel arrangements made through a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. Nobody knows Hawaii like United. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports. Once again, the winner is Mark Williams.